Dave Wannstedt, who's done some stuff with the Big Ten Network and also NFL on Fox. And Dave Wannstedt, Coach Wannstedt joins us right now. Coach, thanks for joining us. We're talking about the Browns and their situation with Antonio Callaway, who had some red flags, yet they drafted him, and now this situation comes up with a small amount of marijuana in a car. From an organizational standpoint, when you're dealing with stuff like that, I don't know, how disappointing is it when you have a player that had that checkered past have this incident come up?
Well, it is, obviously. I mean, that's, anytime it happens with any player, it's disappointing. I think what makes this situation probably magnified a little bit more than maybe with others is, John Dorsey comes in there. Obviously, he wants to have a good draft. He wants to set a good foundation. You're trying to win the fans back. You're trying to convince everybody you're doing the right thing. You would like to think, and I'm sure, and I know John, he's trying to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that, if you're trying to make a decision between two players and there's a flag on one, that you go with the guy that doesn't have the red flag, even if he's maybe a lesser player, because you can't afford to have something like this happen. You want to try to, whatever you can do is eliminate. It's tough enough to win games and get the positive vibe back, but you don't need to create a negative vibe by things happening off the field. And it's very unfortunate that it did happen for all parties involved.
Which would be more bothersome to you, Dave? The incident itself and that he had a small amount of marijuana with him, or the fact that he didn't tell them? I mean, the Browns didn't find out till yesterday when a report broke in the media. I would think if you're Callaway, you should be aware that this is going to get out, and maybe it's a little bit easier on him if you are upfront with them. Would that bother you that he didn't tell them?
Oh, absolutely, because you're not going to beat it. I mean, it's a team goes out on a limb and makes a decision that you're going to be part of their franchise. I think you owe it to them. I mean, you want to get out in front of everything, and I'm really surprised that, because his agent knew about it, and usually if the player doesn't contact the coach, I happened to meet several times the agent. I would get a call at night and say, "Hey, we just had a problem. Here's what happened," or the player would be in there first thing in the morning and sit down and say, "Coach, this is what's happened." So it's disappointing enough that it did happen, but to kind of get blindsided on it, I think really it makes it that much worse. And now there's that lack of trust. Not only that the kid let you down, but now all of a sudden that he's really not being honest with you, or is he trying to, work the back door and avoid you? It just creates more relationship problems than what you need right out of the gate.
Dave, is it more impactful, too, with a team that didn't win a game last year than it would be if it would have happened to a New England Patriots player or a program that's further along here in its advancement? Here you got a team that's doing everything it can to prove itself, and you get a little setback like this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was referring to with my initial statement. They're not in a position. Bill Belichick is in a position to take a chance on a player, and if it doesn't work out, he gets rid of him and he moves on. When you're trying to set a foundation, as they're trying to do there in Cleveland, you cannot afford these mistakes. I mean, it really is disappointing, and I'm sure that Hugh Jackson and the owner and obviously Dorsey, everybody involved is so disappointed that this happened, because you wouldn't take a kid like this. I mean, somebody along the line got convinced that there wasn't going to be a problem, and anything that happened in the past was in the past. Otherwise, you don't make this decision. So somebody, they were misled a little bit, and they trusted people, and now you get embarrassed like this.
Visiting with Dave Wannstedt, Fox NFL college football analyst, talking about the Browns and the Bengals, for that matter, starting the preseason tomorrow. Dave, from your years as a coach, that first NFL preseason game, what are Hugh Jackson, what are Marvin Lewis, what are you looking for out of that first exhibition game?
Well, I can tell you this. Every coach says we didn't game plan. Every coach says we didn't really care, but from a preparation standpoint. And to a degree, that's true. But deep down, they want to win this game. Because all of a sudden it falls into 2 weeks, and now you're 0-2 in the preseason, and now you're trying to build confidence with your team. So this is, it's a preseason game. The starters aren't going to play much, but it's an important game, particularly with the rookies. You know what I mean? You want to show off, particularly your first-round draft picks. I'm sure that Baker Mayfield will play, and I'm excited myself. I think that was a great pick for them. I know different opinions on, and I said this, I had a chance to study every one of those college quarterbacks coming out, for 2 or 3 years, Rosen, Darnold. The only one I didn't get a lot of exposure to was Allen, the kid that went to the Bills.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, we had him several times, and Baker Mayfield several times on TV. So I studied these guys, and I said it this way. I said, you know what? If my job was on the line and they were going to put the ball on the 20-yard line, and they said, you're going to pick one quarterback and you have to score a touchdown to save your job, the guy that I would have taken would have been Baker Mayfield.
Are you?
And I really believe that. I just think the kid's got he can run, he can throw, he makes good decisions. He's such a competitor. I think that I was excited when he went there. I really was. I think that whenever his time to play is, I don't know when that's going to be because I like Tyrod Taylor also. He's a winner. He doesn't get your feet. He's one of those guys that no one's happy that he makes enough plays, but he's not. You can win a lot of games with him. So I think it's a nice combination. I'll be real curious to see how it plays out and how they use him.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what are your thoughts about the decision that, Baker, you're going to sit for now. Tyrod, it's your ship. Is that the right way to be handling a young quarterback like a Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I do. I don't think there's any harm in that whatsoever. You got Todd Haley, so you got a new offense. You want to kind of get that thing off right. You got a young quarterback that's learning all the pro terminology as compared to a veteran guy that's done it and has had success. So I like that route. I really do. And then, depending on how it's playing out, it's a great situation to have. I really believe that. And we all know that Baker Mayfield, he's so competitive and he's going to be ready to play. And his time will come. His time will come. And, it may be week 3 and maybe week 5. I can remember when the Steelers drafted Ben Roethlisberger. In fact, I was talking with Michael Vick. He does the NFL show with me, and we were talking. I think it was his rookie year, and the guy that was a starter, and he was the backup, and he knew that his time would come, and things happen. So, the key is just to have a good attitude with all parties, and just think of the team first, and your time will come.
David, it'll also be the pro debut on the other side of the ball of Saquon Barkley. How excited are you to see what this kid's going to bring to the NFL?
Well, I am, and I think I know him pretty well too. We're actually coming out from his high school days, and I think he's going to be a great back. There's no question about that. I'm a little bit hard-headed and old school from running between the tackles. I was a little disappointed in that one phase. But then the way he can run in the open field and break tackles and catch the ball, the back that he reminds me of is Marshall Faulk. I think he's going to be the next Marshall Faulk in the NFL. I think he's going to be a great player, and he's awful dangerous when you put him in the slot and he can run routes and the way he can catch the ball in the open field. He's going to be a handful for a linebacker trying to cover him one-on-one.
That'll be the Browns and the Giants. So number 1 pick, Mayfield. Number 2 pick, Saquon Barkley tomorrow. Real quick, I want to ask you, the Bengals are playing the Bears in their exhibition opener, preseason opener. Billy Price, Ohio State center, first-round pick for the Bengals, has been having trouble. In fact, 8 of the first 9 practices, there's been fumbled snaps. They had a scrimmage last Saturday. There were 6 bad snaps. Marvin Lewis talked about it. It's early, but, yeah, it's a concern because it happened with all 4 different quarterbacks that they had out there. How much of it, when it's a young player like that, is it a blip on the? At what point does it get to be, as a coach, all right, this is a problem? And are we getting close to that point yet with Billy Price?
Well, oh God, I wasn't aware of that.
It's kind of, and it's been all over. Just so you know, Dave, like he's been rolling some snaps on it. Both of them, both. He's rolled some snaps on shotgun, and he's also had fumbled exchanges, quarterback to center, and it's happening a lot.
Yeah, the only thing that I would come up with, and in the NFL, obviously it's the blitz packages are so much more sophisticated, and particularly when you got a veteran quarterback like Dalton, you know what I mean? If they're not starting at square one. I mean, they're it's a 10th step right now from an offensive standpoint and from an adjustment standpoint. And when you get in there at center, you're kind of the quarterback of that offensive line. So I would just take a look at it and see, you physically, he can do it. I mean, obviously you got to get him out of that rut here pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I would just be curious to see if, maybe he's doing too much thinking. I don't know. Maybe a guard has to help him out with some of the calls, if that's an issue. That would be the first thing that comes to my mind is maybe the guy's not focusing enough on his snapping, and he's putting so much into calling the defenses and alerting blitzes and changing the coverage and changing the protections and everything that goes along with it. That might have him out of sync a little bit.
Hey, Coach Wannstedt, thanks for taking a few minutes with us. We'll make sure Stan's here next time. Stan was like, get Coach Wannstedt on, and then we book you, and it's the day that he's in Chicago.
Stan, you know what? Stan doesn't want to be on with me. He avoids me.
Apparently.
He knows that I'm going to put him on the spot. But I did find out that we're going to be doing a show together on Wednesdays, Big Ten and Beyond this year, all season. So that'll be exciting because we have a lot of fun together. And but that's what it was. He's not ready for me yet.
Exactly.
He's looking at the schedule and saying, I got 3 more weeks before I got to deal with him.
Exactly right. Hey, Coach Wannstedt, thanks so much for joining us. That was great stuff. Appreciate it very much.
All right, guys.